I'm not a secretary, I'm sorry.
Best he's ever been. He's about out of gas here pretty soon, isn't he?
Let's go through this again. I mean, I don't want the record to show that but assuming a $20 million increase in the liability in the pension fund, amortized over this period, reduced to a net cost to the county of approximately $1 million. You further reduce it by changing the amount of interest credited to the employee is going to reduce them anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 according to norms. So we're down to $500,000 cost. Now, if we're allowed to amortize the cost of this, which I think over a more appropriate period, similar to the state methodology of 30 years, it's going to be an even smaller number.
Are we allowed to do that, Jack? We allowed to amortize it over a longer period of time?
I asked Mr. Pickering that question, and he said he doesn't have any evidence or any statutory basis that prohibits us. It would require changing our actuarial methodology. But I'm giving you these numbers based upon just the static or the status quo kind of an analysis.
I presume that you can amortize. Do I don't want to say a worst case scenario. Presume under you say, Jack, under the current conditions and factors that you currently must deal with, what would you be looking at? I think that's what you're going through. Is that right?
So yeah, I mean just.
But that's not a static number either. I mean that's going to fluctuate, correct?
What's that?
Number's going to fluctuate. The number you were talking about, $20 million liability, but that's going to change. Could change.
Well, no, the liability, it will be what it'll be. If it's 20 million or it's 15 or 25 million, it will be what is established by the action, and then it's spread out over whatever amortization period there is. The liability is calculated basically Norm just goes right down all the employees, our 700, 800, employees that are in the pension fund, and every one of them.
That number's going to change, though.
Well, yeah, I guess, answer your question, you're right. If we have a whole bunch of people
that retire, or hire.
You bring people in, new hires, they don't have a bill point outlet. So the liability could conceivably decrease. The other big thing is if the market value of the pension fund goes up, then it's the net difference.
Yeah,
I know.
I hate to be the naysayer in all
I
this,
understand.
but I really like it. But I can't do the good numbers and analysis, and I need our budget guy, and I need Norm Pickering's input of what the Sam Hills is going to happen.
But you just voted to continue the county's employees' health benefits. You don't know what that's going to cost you.
Oh yeah, we have.
For 6 months ahead, but you don't know for a year and a half ahead, or 2 years. Pardon? I'm just saying there's a lot of benefits that we give but I mean there are benefits.
Once we do this, we'll be under a mandate to do it all the time. So it's no different there.
Do you want to let the motion sit and talk about your pension fund managers for a little bit?
We have to.
Yeah, there's a motion. I mean, I think we got to decide here one way or the other.
Did anybody amend it?
Well, you wanted to, subject to the financial analysis.
Of the budgetary, subject to the Board of Commissioners budgetary assessment?
And agreeing to fund the benefit. I think that's a fair compromise.
Yes.
Yes.
Bill, speak up.
Well, if you think you can have a solid number by I guess December 31st.
But this particular number isn't going to be, you've already budgeted 2.2, right?
$4 million additional. I can guarantee the commissioners are probably going to say, we're going to have to hold off to see if this number comes down.
For 2004.
The stock market goes up, or
5.
we do something with the unions.
Is that a 5 number? 2005
Yeah, it'll
number?
be one.
Right.
Right.
Because you've already done the
I know it's not next year.
2004.
I understand
You have a year to swerve if there are.
But if he says the number he gives is going to be the number today, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes. He's
Commissioner
going to work
decide
with
on that number, not, we got a year to see how the stock market's doing. Their decision's going to be based on the number Norm gives now.
is
Well, let's see if there's a way we can work
important.
around this,
Yeah.
though. Is there... Can't we make it just subject to that constraint?
Yeah.
Can you, and it goes there, can you?
We'll pay a call on the norm. I'll throw out a-
Well,
I'll
really,
throw out
I
a
mean,
wall.
next year when you're doing the budget for 2005, this is still in effect, right?
Yeah, it
You're
won't
still
hit
saying,
this-
we're not going to do this until we get the number.
Well,
Do you follow?
I don't know what you're
People
approving.
retire.
I don't know what you're approving January 2nd is.
Yeah, right, because
Because people are going to say, well, what do you approve for January 2nd then if you're going to wait until later on to see what decision you're going to make?
Yeah.
Because you either make it, it's either January 2nd or it's not January 2nd.
Could this meeting recess and reconvene later on this afternoon for the purpose of considering this? To see what information...
And then you can ask-
I don't think you're going to get an
Get
answer.
from the
But
board.
you can ask-
They may be closed out there. Don't they close a few days before
I know
Christmas?
Hank's there today, but
People are
then,
working today.
Can you
they're not
recess?
working
They
today.
close the week of
See
Christmas.
if it's even feasible that they even have a number for it. You could come back this afternoon and say, he can't do it, so you either got to do a different motion, or he can say, I can maybe have something for you next week, so you can, something like that. The question is the pension board's motions contingent on, is it, you either may do your own action or is it contingent on commissioner's action? Commissioners then say contingent on every time you do something. Three commissioners could say, well, it's contingent on the commissioner's approval. We want to look at it.
Well,
And that's the question. You have
It'd be retirement.
commissioners.
okay, well, could we do it, could we do it consistent with the way we, on the other board, like, prison? We just make it subject to the commissioners?
Is there a
You
definition
can't
for that?
contract it. I'm just wondering the power you guys have. I mean, I can't answer that question. I mean, you might have more authority than...
Subject to, and don't set an effective date. It's, you know, and then it'll be up to the board to determine effective with the board of commissioners agreeing to meet.
With no effective date, then if things come back and they want to do it the second they can, if not, they can delay it later on.
They can delay it. You just, it's, I mean, those people, I kind of feel, you know, but that, we could do it that way.
Take the date out.
Take the date out, just
out.
subject to the
You approved
commissioners.
one of the 40 class in
Yeah.
2004.
okay, tell me what did that, I mean, we can lobby like Sam Hill to get to January 2nd, so what did it do if we don't initiate it until
The other thing is, what
September?
if they still don't come back anytime next year feasible? What do you do?
Yeah, and that's, you
I'm
know,
sorry,
we're
I'm
talking
sorry.
about messages.
What if the numbers come back no matter what time next year and they're not feasible? You already approved 140 class.
The numbers from who? Norm? Well, we get it back.
You come back and you
You know,
say you're going to cancel. I
We
mean,
can't do things. No.
Mr. Chairman, may I make an observation other than from the media point?
You taking your media hat off now?
Yes. I mean, regardless of what you did, somebody had mentioned it a little bit ago, 45 minutes or so ago, that if somebody was going to retire, but you had this, and they were going to retire from January 2nd on, but there was this question mark whether in fact they would, then you're afraid they're not going to do it because they could fall through the cracks if you delayed it some more times. My question is, if you let people know that you're considering this, and you set a date that you hope to have this resolved by January 31st or February 28th, how many people that you know of specifically have already announced they're going to retire in the month of January or February? And if they had, and now you say you have a possibility, they're going to hold off because if it does come, fine. If it's canceled, fine. It's not going to hurt them if they have the knowledge what's working another 30 or 60 days. If they had the knowledge out there that you are going to take action, that you need the numbers, and if you're thinking about retiring in the next 60 days, why don't you hold off until we're able to tell you what the benefits? I just, unless you knew there was going to be a slew of people that's going to retire in January. But if you just made the knowledge that you're working on it, and like everything else, you pledge to get this done, not like the state, the budget timing, but I just question if you knew that there's that many people that right now that it would affect, and how many will, even if you pass this today with a contingency, they're going to withdraw that idea of retiring anyways until they find out for sure.
I don't want this, this shouldn't take all year to decide